Welcome to Take Two. Uh, I'm David Berry. This side of me, Jared Ainsworth. This side of me, Avi Zalen. And it's one of the most wonderful times of the year in Texas. High school football playoffs starting this weekend. And what we have going on right now is I'm going to be asking the question: which team in Southeast Texas has the most difficult matchup? There's a bunch of good teams. Among the toughest matchups we have are Vider and 4A going to be playing Summer Creek, who just beat a very good team in Dayton 45-7. And then we have Port Arthur Memorial going to be playing Manville, also a very, very good team. So we're going to start out with Avi. Avi, of those two matchups, which one do you think is the tougher one?
You know, it's really a shame for Vider. They're a good team. They're a really good team. I love the way they run the ball. And fantastic play all around this season, 9-1. But unfortunately, in the first round, they draw a excellent, undefeated powerhouse Summer Creek team. These guys are averaging 48.1 points a game and giving up, on average, 11.5. They're blowing out nearly everybody that they're playing. And you talk about Vider's potent ground attack, and you say, how is Summer Creek going to counter that? Well, they played Barbers Hill a couple weeks back, and Barbers Hill averages 297.3 rushing yards a game. They got held to 176. And then last week, you mentioned the win against Dayton. They held them to 52 rushing yards. On the offensive side of the ball, I said 48 points average per game. That's unheard of. And they're led by junior quarterback Aaron Sharp, who has thrown for 2,361 yards with 30 touchdowns and only 6 interceptions. He currently has an offer from UTEP. A lot of times he's throwing it to wide receiver Gregory Hogan, who's got 14 of those 30 touchdown receptions. So Summer Creek, I think, is the more difficult matchup. Vider is going to absolutely have their hands full in this one.
All right. And then, like I said, Port Arthur, Manville, obviously you think that one's going to be pretty tough. Why is that one going to be tough for Memorial?
Well, I think Manville's the most talented team any local team will play in the first round. They made the Class 4A Division II state championship last year before moving up to 5A. Their quarterback's going to Old Dominion after this year. He has an offer to Louisiana Tech, which I believe is in the top 25 right now.
Yeah, to one-up my UTEP with the
So, I mean, I think Port Arthur Memorial definitely could beat them, but this is actually a threat. A Memorial team that went to the third round 2 years ago, went to the state semifinals last year. I mean, they could actually potentially be knocked out in the first round this year, and that's pretty crazy to think is actually possible. But their quarterback's thrown 46 touchdowns, 3,400 yards, and they're putting up points, 61 last week, 70 4 weeks ago. I mean, they're doing quite well. Their one loss was to North Shore in the second week of the season. They led North Shore 21-0. They ended up losing 56-28, quite a blowout. But the fact that they got up 21-0 says a lot. Not too many teams can do that on North Shore. But I mean, we'll see what happens. I think Memorial, like Vider, they both have a chance to win these games. I think at the same time,
albeit a small chance.
And you know, they say that's why you play the game. So,
but also one more point I wanted to make real quick. Didn't mean to interrupt you, but
Kenny
Harrison told me last week.
Inside information.
Well, it's not actually. It's not inside information. Really, it's just Kenny told me. Who wants to play Memorial either? I mean, who wants a first round matchup against a team that made it to the state semifinals last year? And so Manville's got to be thinking the same thing. And Summer Creek's probably thinking the same thing about a Vider team that's reeling off 300 rushing yards a night, pretty much.
True.
I mean,
it's true.
So we'll see what
happens.
happens.
Well, when you're never passing it. Yeah.
True.
But like I said, it's the playoffs, and all these teams they're happy to be here. So that's it for this week. Tune in to Take Two next week, and you never know what we'll be talking about.
Thanks, guys.